And by the way, Laura, this is for you, and you can tell the other players because this is really common knowledge that anybody would have, and it's about the Moon Hills. It's basically that small range of hills to the southwest. It's notorious, okay, as a bandit haven. Goblins, kobolds, and other annoyances are known to dwell there. It's not a place where men travel, and oftentimes, people traveling to the south from Bridle along the King's Highway take armed guards with them, at least passing through that region because of the threat of bandits. It's a dangerous place down there. That's pretty much common knowledge you could pick up anywhere in town.
Okay.
It also includes a lot of caves and some old ruins as well, as rumored to be there. Again, look at the map and you'll see what I mean. But anyway, that you would know.
Yeah. So I'll just ask him, other than the typical bandits and so on and so forth of the Moon Hills, are there any other known threats? Any unusual areas? Any magical type things?
And you're asking him?
Yeah, I'm asking the constable.
You need to make a charisma check.
That one's not as good. 7.
7. Well, the only information he's willing to divulge is basically what you already know. Okay. So, it's pretty much a dangerous place, but no specifics. Few people go there, and they don't send patrols down there. The militia doesn't go down there either. So it's not a place they frequent. It's a place to be cautious of.
Very well.
If you'd like, you can also make a history check to learn about what you might have learned about the hills or even Pallon.
Yeah, I'll do that. And then I'll also ask the constable if he knows if there's any libraries in the city.
Okay, make your history check.
That's 11.
In your time and your upbringing in Zobik, you really didn't learn a whole lot about the history outside of Zobik. You have quite a bit of knowledge about Zobik, but not so much outside of those walls. Nothing about this Pallon that you've heard about, or the Moon Hills, or bandits. You haven't heard anything in your studies or research in the past.
Okay. Now, what about libraries? Is there any in the city that I know of, or that he would know of?
There's no real book people or map makers or cartographers of that ilk in the town, but probably the best place you could go to is the Sage, which is building 7, but few people go there. He's a very quiet person, the Sage, who's also said to be a wizard, so you have to be kind of careful, but that would be the place to find books on things.
Okay. I'll bid my due and I'll head out. The first place I'm going to go is to Bogey Cat's Paw. I'm going to pay a visit to our old friend.
Okay.
I'll knock on the door.
What do you want?
Lord Torn, let me in!
The door creaks open, and out pops the familiar face of Gregory.
Hello, Gregory.
Oaken's servant. It's you again, is it? What can we do with you? You know, there was rats down there. We had to lock up the basement again.
Yeah, I know there were rats down there. We sent the city guard after them.
You also signed a contract with us. What would you like? The time is precious. Did you come back to solve our problem with the rats? There's been guards tromping through our house.
Sounds like they have it under control. I'm here for information. I was wondering, because your master has such an exquisite library, if you had any books on Pius...
Library?
Was it
Antiques, not a library.
You have books. It's a lot.
Yes, there's a few. What do you need?
Pallon the Pius. Do you have anything on him?
Pallon the Pius. Wasn't he that... didn't he go mad I'm not sure. He was that Pallon the Pius. Yeah, he was Pallon the Merciless at one point, if I remember.
Mm-hmm.
These guys are halflings, remember? They live a long time, so yeah, he would remember Pallon Merciless and Pallon the Pius. Yeah, said to be he went mad. I'm not sure. I don't know much about him. He was a terrible, brutal man in the old days. Then he disappeared away in his vault, as they call it.
So
Not much heard from him since then. He's long dead, I'm sure.
So, do you have any other information about what this vault might look like, or any markings that were his? Anything he used to identify himself?
Oh no, nothing like that. I'm sure the books we have in here. I don't think anything on that subject. Not on histories of the local region of that caliber. I mean, he was basically a local. I don't want to say folk hero, more like a folk villain. He's pretty well known in that respect, but I don't think any books were written about him.
All right, I'll toss him a silver piece and walk away.
Ba-ting! He kind of stops and grabs it and stares at you blankly as you walk out the door. And as you walk and leave, it takes about maybe 10 seconds before the door slams. He was obviously staring at you like, what was that? All right.
All right, and then I guess I'll go see this sage person. Actually, I'll go back to the Wayward Inn first and see if anybody's ready to, or anyone's there to meet up with.
Devin hasn't returned yet. He said a couple hours, but he hasn't returned yet. It's been about an hour. And while this is going on, Killian, after this little meeting, or actually, before we end the meeting, is there anything else you wanted to ask Yolando? His advice is to go out and ask around and gather supplies. You got 3 days to do it. He's told you all he knows.
Before we start the mission, you mean? No?
Yeah.
So what I'll do is maybe I'll go and get some food to the local market there so I can have some provisions for the trip.
Your inventory, you have a mess kit, you got rations for a day.
Okay, so how long will it be this we don't know how long this bequest will be.
Well, depending on your travel pace,
mm-hmm.
it's a matter of hours. If you travel at a normal pace in a straight line, you can make it there in maybe just over 2 hours.
Okay, so no.
If you follow the King's Road or King's Highway, it'll be over 3 hours.
It's fine. So I have enough rations, and if I get hungry, I can eat someone on the way. No problem.
That's not suspicious at all.
But you already have 1 day of dry rations. That'll keep for some time, so you've got some food that you can consume at any time. You could also try and forage if you get hungry while you're traveling. But,
I'm fine.
So we're talking hours.
Yeah, it's fine. So I have food for 1 day. That's fine.
Okay, and another thing I should mention to you, from what you've learned, it's common knowledge. The Moon Hills are just full of bandits. There's caves up there. People in Bridal don't travel that direction at all. And when they do travel the King's Highway south, as you can see, the road continues on south. When it comes near the Moon Hills, they usually hire guards because it at least in that part of the trip, because down there it's risky. Goblins, kobolds, that sort of thing.
Okay, it's a bandit area. Okay, get it.
If you want, Killian, I'll allow you to ask around town to pick up on any rumors.
I want to ask. I want to ask the guards about this bandit, if they know anything about it.
Okay. Guards are not hard to find.
Yes, I can go to the north tower this time, because last time I was asking questions to the south. So let's not ask them. The same guys will get suspicious. So let's ask them north.
There's also a lot closer, right behind the Wayward Inn and Tavern, is the town hall, and it's also the place where the constable stays. It's the headquarters of the town, the city watch, and there's always 2 guards posted out front of the town hall building. They're right behind where you're staying. I think it's building number 12.
Okay.
So if you want, you can pop your head out and just walk over there and find at least a couple guards to talk to and ask about. Lord Torin actually just did that. Perhaps you'd like to join Lord Torin as he visits the constable.
Yeah, true. Yeah, we can visit for sure.
All right. And basically, Lord, why don't you fill him in on how that meeting went and what you found out?
So, Killian, when you were with me, you heard me talk about some rat problems, and yeah, I don't really care about that. I was just kind of common courtesy asking about it. So he responded they're getting it dealt with, but didn't really go into much detail about what was going on. There were some tunnels that were found underneath the city, and one of them went underneath the Temple of Lada. So there was that, but and then I asked him about the Moon Hills, and I did not have any luck getting any information about them other than it's where bandits hide out. Because I asked him if there was anything about magical or any other sort of strange things out there, and he wasn't too forthcoming. So
Okay.
And then after that, I proceeded to go to a man's house, or to a house, and had a short conversation with what was that, halfling or no?
Yeah, halfling. Boken Katzpa Shorthill.
Yeah. Well, I was talking to Gregory though.
Oh yeah, Gregory, his servant.
Good old Gregory.
Yeah.
Asking about books or anything, and it was an awkward conversation, but I tossed him a silver and I left, and I guess we left.
Now, anywhere along this little journey, Killian, you can stop off and maybe talk to the guards on your own.
Sure.
All right, make a charisma check. You don't have a D20, so let me roll that for you. You get a +2.
Yeah.
Because of your charisma score. You get a nice 12 for a total of 14. Now, basically outside of what you already heard about is what you learned, reinforced your knowledge that Moon Hills are a bad place. No new information. However, I can also let you check your own history. Maybe you learned about the Moon Hills or something in the past that you might know about. And I'll allow you a check for history as well. And you got a nice solid 18, -1 for wisdom. So although you didn't figure out anything from talking to the guards, you do recall something from your past, something you might have read about. You remember Pallon did in fact have a lot of treasure from his past banditry. He was a very wealthy individual. At least that's what you remember from your past learnings. That's what you've heard. So he must be considerably wealthy. Or was.
Yeah. So he must have a lot of treasure for us to find. That's true. That's good. There's a lot of booty to be maybe found during the quest.
I don't trust rich men. They never keep their booty in one place.
Yeah, true. Is he still alive, this guy? This bandit is still alive, or he's dead?
So far, everyone thinks he's dead.
But it's not confirmed yet, correct? So we may be for a surprise.
We're definitely in for a surprise one way or the other. Bandits being notorious in the area is never good.
Yeah, so must be very careful. Must be very careful, not to get surprised by them, because for sure they know the area better than us. They know the location. They can attack us. They know the location. They can ambush us. So you must be very careful.
Well, they can ambush us if they want. I'll kill them all the same anyway.
All right before you head out, in through the door of the Wayward Inn and Tavern comes Devon. Ah, my friends, what have you been up to?
Investigating, not drinking.
Me as
Been a
well.
boring day.
We need to share information. What have you found out about this? This
Next
Pallon.
up, unfortunately.
Nothing much. Just I remember that this guy was a very famous bandit and quite wealthy. But,
And also fond of riddles. That's what I learned. Whether or not that's true, I don't know, or what that means, but it's said that he was actually quite fond of riddles.
Wonderful.
Yes, we could be in for a little bit of a challenge of the mind. Or not.
So the real question is, do we want to leave tonight or wait till the morning?
Well, right now it's still morning. It's about 5 hours since dawn, so it's not even noon yet.
what time does it get the sunsets?
They got 6 more hours of daylight, my friend.
Okay.
So it's still plenty of time. Still plenty of daylight. So we're fine. Probably we can start. I don't think. Okay, I don't want to. I want to avoid starting and getting dark there.
So if you started now, like I said, it's going to be 2 or 3 hours, depending on the route you take and your pace. At a normal pace, it'll be about 2 or 3 hours. It's not going to be that long, but
Yeah, that's fine.
you have about 6 hours of daylight left.
Yeah.
So you might be returning back in the dark, or you might be camping out.
I think to be safe, we should probably plan on camping out no matter what. I'll just stop by the general goods store, top off my rations, and clean my blade and be ready to go.
All right, you're going to be good. That's about another hour that passes, an hour before noon, and you're pretty much ready to set out. However, Phython is nowhere to be found. Devon is at your side, Wayward Tavern, so is Killian. So it's the 3 of you. If you'd like to head out now, leave a message for Phython, perhaps?
Yeah, I'll go up to the barkeep. You know Pfizer, my little wizard friend. Skinny, cowardly.
Oh, I know exactly who you mean. Of course. You pay good coin to stay. You also help pay a few additional coin for something else, which I won't go into, but yes, I know what you're talking about.
Well, let him know that we've left for the Moon Hills, and that if he ever decides to stop stealing from people, that he can join us.
I will. Sure thing.
Thank you.
Lord Torrin, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and he pulls out his quill and writes it out in a little note on a piece of parchment under the bar.
All right, gentlemen. I left a message for Father. He might join us. I don't know.
All right, so it looks like it's the 3 of you. Would you like to do anything else before you begin your journey?
Nope.
With your packs fastened, blades sharpened, and plans made, you make your way in good order south to the Moon Hills in search of the mysterious vault of the so-called Pallon the Pius. A short trip, perhaps, but what perils lie along the way, you think to yourselves. Now, at this point, you need to decide what pace you're going to travel.
Just a normal pace.
All right, normal pace is 3 miles an hour. Now, you're obviously going to avoid any difficult terrain, which there is none unless you go through the woods. There's a little blotch of woods there somewhere close by. So are you going to go straight around the woods through the plains and the fields, or are you going to follow the King's Road and then head off toward the hill from there?
Well, gentlemen, do you think we should skirt the woods? I think that's wise. If bandits are going to be hiding anywhere, that's where they'll be. I think we should avoid the King's Road as well. Less obvious.
Devon butts in. He agrees and says it'd be a lot quicker for us if we just head straight southwest through the hills or through the plains.
Killian?
I'm sure there's some paths and stuff anyway that'll make travel easy. But I agree. Let's avoid the King's Road. If bandits are afoot, that's where they will be congregated and watching. So I agree.
I agree too. Yes, that's cool. Let's avoid the main road.
Then we'll make our way south.
There are a number of narrow paths and trails to follow as you begin your trek overland. This should be a much shorter journey than trekking along the stony King's Road. As you get underway, peering towards your destination, you can just make out its hilly terrain in the distance. A cool breeze and fresh smells of nature envelop you as you make your way closer and closer. An occasional copse of broad-leafed trees offers respite from the sun's heat on your backs. Surely it won't be long now.
I will be.
It's about 2 hours.
Active watch.
What is your marching order?
I guess I'll go first.
Devin will bring up the rear. Killian, you can sit in the middle. We'll do a single file.
Yep, fine.
Now, Laura, you're in the lead. What did you want to do? You're about an hour and a half into the journey so far, so about another half an hour to an hour.
Yeah. I'll be keeping active watch, just making sure I don't see anything that looks out of the ordinary.
Okay. Onward you go. You've traveled quite a number of miles now. You feel the growing presence of the Moon Hills. You enter a large cluster of trees and woods, offering a welcome spot to take a short break and rub sore feet. The stillness is broken by the singing of birds, and the rustling of leaves brought on by a gust of fresh air feels good in the hot summer day. But not all is as it may seem. Almost at once, you all hear a sound most distinguished and out of place. The sound of a flute playing music. You begin to think how odd this really is, considering you have seen no buildings or travelers for some time. Who would be so foolish to draw attention to themselves in such a dangerous locale as the Moon Hills, which are only about a half an hour away? Just then, you also hear what sounds like distant and careless laughter. What do you do?
Which direction is it coming from?
It sounds like it's about maybe 80 to 100 feet away, and it's off to your right.
I'll pull out my spear, and I'll kind of just get ready. Is it moving towards us or moving away from us?
It's off to the north. It sounds like it's getting closer even as you sit there listening.
Okay. Gentlemen, be ready for a fight. And I'll just kind of get ready and kind of take a position behind a tree or something, just kind of keep a watch of the area.
All right, go ahead and make a wisdom perception.
For me?
Perception.
No, this is Laura.
4.
You notice, the only thing you notice is that this sound, it's probably about 100 feet away, and it's off to your right. Now, there's more trees here than you've been accustomed to along this entire journey for the past hour and a half. The route you're taking is taking you through this wooded area. It's quite possible the sound is still within the very same woods you're relaxing in at the moment, rather than outside in the plains open areas. But you definitely hear this laughter and this flute playing. So basically, do you want to investigate, or do you want to just keep moving, or what?
I want to stay where I am. I'm not moving.
How about you, Killian?
This sound comes from inside the woods, correct?
Mm-hmm.
It's how many feet away from us?
It sounds like it's about 100 feet away off to your right.
100 feet, so right. Is it coming from... it's from the woods, or it's from the top of the trees? It's
hard to tell. You haven't really...
It's hard to tell.
You haven't really moved up in that direction. Basically, you can either go up and investigate, or stay where you're at, see what happens, or just keep moving. but it's off to your side.
I think
Devin looks a little bit concerned because what would people be bringing so much attention to themselves for this close to the Moon Hills? Unless they're bandits? But
for sure.
highly unlikely. Playing flutes? I don't think so. We're far enough away from the road.
I think we should hide and see what comes up from this. If he moves or if something happens, we should wait and hide.
I definitely agree.
All right, everybody make a stealth check. That's a dexterity roll plus proficiency in stealth if you have it. Let me look at your... You tell me if you have it, Killian. Do you have proficiency in stealth?
No, my proficiency is in persuasion and in intimidation. And in wisdom, this is 2. I have more? No, 2.
Your stealth is a +0, so you'd roll a d20 with no modifiers.
A total of 17.
Okay, so Lord Torin is stealth 17, and Killian, yours is a total of 3. So you're not very stealthy at the moment. You'd be easy to spot.
7 foot tall also, it's disaster.
Total. All right, as you sit there kind of hunkering down behind some trees and grabbing any cover you got, and Devin as well. Devin, by the way, is wearing scale mail, which is quite heavy. But anyway, the sound continues. It's carried on the wind, so there's brief moments where you can't hear it and it fades away, but just as quick, you can hear this laughter, and you can hear this playing of a flute. It sounds like a flute. And it sounds like it might be a little bit closer this time. It's hard to tell. It could be the breeze carrying it your direction. But it continues. It sounds quite joyful, actually. Quite pleasing to listen to. Somebody's having a good time.
I would suggest to make a trap, and I can be the bait, and Lord Torin, being an elf, can hide very well and support me in the flanks. And I will move towards the sound with Devon, and Lauren will be on the flank, hiding in the woods, being very good at hiding, so he can support us and protect us until we find out what this is.
All right.
Now you're heading up towards the sound?
Yes, but Lord Torin is stealthy. He cannot be seen.
Right.
He's not in the main road. He's shadowing us from the side, so he can have advantage if there's a danger.
I would only ask, how far away from Killian's position, are you going to be, Lore?
30 feet.
All right, as you approach, the sound gets louder and louder and louder. You're still within the trees, although it's starting to get a little bit more open. You can definitely see movement up ahead. After about 30 feet, you definitely see the shape. You carefully make your way towards the sounds, Killian, Lore, Devon. There, some 30 feet ahead, you see the source of this joyous, mad music. In a small clearing, you see what looks like a humanoid figure dancing about gleefully while playing some type of flute. Dancing alongside looks to be some kind of blue glowing orb of sort, kind of keeping time with the music and the dancing. Occasionally, the dancing figure breaks out with an uncaring laugh. The music continues. Now this, you're about 30 feet away. I want everybody to make a perception check.
Okay.
Now for you, Killian, that is a D20 -1.
Yeah.
So let me roll that for you. And
Lord Torin's is a total of 20.
And Killian got a natural 20. With a -1, you're at 19. So you did really good there.
Very good. I'm very happy.
What did you get, Laura?
Total of 20.
Both you and Killian, not Devon, you also notice in the shadows, maybe 8-10 feet away from the dancing figure, in the shadows and leaning against a tree, seated, it looks like another humanoid figure, just laying there in the shadows, but you definitely make him out.
Do we see any weapons?
You definitely see a bow. The seated figure has a bow.
Can I tell what race these people are? Or?
It's hard to tell. The dancing humanoid looks a little bit odd. He's a little bit shorter, and I don't know, his legs look almost canine-ish, or maybe even like a goat. It's hard to tell. He might even have horns. Suddenly, as the orb flies about, it disappears from sight. The humanoid creature that was dancing abruptly looks in your direction, Killian. And he says, "Come out, travelers. Make yourselves known and join us. We're just getting started here." He then turns and seats himself beside a small keg next to a tree and draws a mug of something to his lips, inviting you with a wave of his hand.
Well, I move towards this creature, but I ask Lord Thorin to stay in the shadows and not reveal himself.
Yeah, I definitely wasn't going to move anyway, so...
And as he does that, he looks over in your direction, Lore. "You too! Come out! Join us!" And he looks
I just flip him off and stay where I am.
And he does likewise to Devon's position. Devon immediately stands up, shakes his head, and looks to you, Killian.
Well, we've been spotted. We don't have any other choice. Let's go and see what's happening. But
Grumpily, Lord Thorin stands up and, keeping the spear in his hands, walks forward.
Okay, good choice. All right. You don't recognize the creature, and the one they're both seated. They're about 5+ feet away from each other, but the one that's the one that you had to spot that was seated previously, he's definitely a human, maybe a half-elf, something of that nature. That is what you make out with him. And he's kind of looking down. He's like whittling away on a little piece of wood. He doesn't really pay much attention to you. On the other hand, the horned creature, he's a bit more lively. He sees you starting to come towards him, and a big smile and grin comes across his face, and he reaches behind him and he pulls out another mug. And pretty soon there's 3 mugs in front of him, plus his own. And he's got this little keg that's next to him. And he takes another, pours some more ale inside of the mug. It's obviously ale. And he takes a drink. "Oh, come on, my friends. Join us. We're just beginning the party, the dance. Tell me, share stories.
Stand on the edge of the trees, but I'm not getting any closer.
Okay, Killian, what about you?
Sorry, I didn't hear what Lauren said. Can you tell me again?
He's staying next to the trees. He's not moving.
Okay. Well, how far away are they from me now?
You're about 30 feet away.
Okay. Having Lauren my back, I move towards them and say, but I have my short bow and arrow in hand.
And before he gets too far away from me, I'm just going to kind of lean in and whisper him, "Don't drink anything."
Devon kind of stands there. He's not really moving either. His hand is kind of close to his mace, but he's not making any sudden moves. But Killian, you're advancing forward with bow drawn?
Yeah.
All right, and with that, the creature kind of takes pause and looks at you, Killian. He says, "Oh, come now. Come, nothing. What are you afraid of? I'm not going to hurt you. You're coming into my party. I'm inviting you. We're just drinking. We're going to share stories. Please," he raises his hand and says, "put your bow away and join me. We're all friends here.
Okay, so I put my bow in its place and I move closer, but not very close, up to 10 feet or something like this.
All right, so you move about 10 feet away.
Yeah.
He says, I'm glad you decided to put away your bow. We're all friends here. And he looks back towards his friend leaning against the tree, and he says, isn't that right, Jorin? Jorin doesn't really respond. He's still whittling away. And the creature and introduces himself. I am Zabahl. Zabahl, the great and wondrous dancer and teller of tales and stories. But anyway, who are you? Come sit down and share a drink with me. Surely you're not afraid of ale? And then he raised his hand with a big mug, offering it to you, Killian.
I don't drink. Who is your friend who's not talking?
Kinda looks over. That's Jorin. He's my friend. He travels the Margreen Forest.
And what are you doing in the middle of this forest? If you're an entertainer, you should be in the city, in the town, correct?
Entertainer? I'm no entertainer. I entertain myself, but I'm no entertainer. I don't do this for coin. I do it because I'm happy. And it's such a glorious day, too. This wonderful sun, a warm day, and we've got this beautiful, beautiful shade. It's perfect for a dance and telling of tales. Now come, sit with me, drink my ale, and I will tell you tales.
What are you doing here? It's the middle of nowhere.
He kind of looks down at the ground in frustration. I will tell you what you want if you sit with me. And your friends, both of them, we see you. Come over and join us. And I will play my flute for you. And with that, he reaches down and he grabs this little, basically little pan pipes, little wooden flute, and he starts playing. He starts playing away, and it's actually quite good. It sounds good and joyous. The vibe you get without making an insight check is pretty positive.
Yeah, no, I'm not moving.
Okay. Devin, on the other hand, he looks over at Lore, kind of looks back at Killian, then he looks at the creature talking to him. He begins to start walking towards Killian, joining alongside of him. So now Devin and Killian are about 10 feet away from the pair that are basically sitting there, and he continues to play the pipes. Then he lays them down. Now come, isn't that worth dancing for? Join us.
I don't dance.
You're missing out, my friend. And then he kind of sets the pipes down, and he kind of grabs his ale and kind of rubs it. And he says, so tell me, who are you? My name is Zabahl, as I've said. Who are you? And he looks towards you, Killian.
I'm Killian. I'm Paladin. And I'm in a I'm in a mission.
You are a servant of a god? A champion?
I'm a champion. I am a servant, of course.
Of course! Yes, go on.
That's it. Nothing else. I'm with my friends here, and we're going about our business.
Have you fought many great battles, defeated great foes of the great and wonderful god Kors?
Yes. I've done my share of fighting. Well.
And then he quickly looks to Devin. He says, what about you? What is your name? Are you also a great warrior of Kors? And Devin says, he kind of puffs out his chest, looks towards Killian and back toward the creature. Says, I indeed am. I am a servant, more faithful perhaps than a warrior, but I do serve the god Kors. Servants of Kors. What about that, Jorin? We have such great tale tellers. I'm sure they'll share more with us. You must sit down. You must sit down and drink with us. At least take a sip. Then all of a sudden, the shadowy figure behind him, leaning against the tree, takes a deep sigh. Don't mind him. He's always this way. My name is Jorin. You introduce yourselves.
I'm Killian Kane.
Trust me, we wish you no harm. We're simple travelers here. I dwell in the Tanglewood, actually. So does Zabahl. We wish you no harm. I am curious, however, what are you doing off the road and kind of heading in the direction of these Moon Hills? As dressed and equipped as you are, what is your goals?
Our business is our own. That's what you need to know. We mean no harm, but our business is our own.
And then the creature speaks up. Don't mind him. Don't mind Jorin. Drink. Let's have a party and dance. And with that, he jumps up from the ground, kind of startles you, but nothing threatening. And then he starts to dance wildly up and down in a little circle about 5 foot in diameter. And he starts playing his pipes loud again. And he starts going around and around and cheerful. And when that happens, after about maybe 10 seconds of this, Jorin says, Zabahl, enough. Let our friends feel comfortable. They're not in the mood to dance. I'm sure. They've been traveling quite far. Where do you hail from? He looks to you, Killian.
Bridal. We come from Bridal.
I see. Why do you make your way so far south? Towards the hills?
As I said, our business is our own. We mean no harm to you. But we cannot say anymore. We come. We have our reasons, but we cannot say more.
At this, Devin kind of steps up. We wish you no harm. We're on our way to the Moon Hills. We have business to attend to. Not of ill business, but of positive business for cores, as I've said. We are followers of good.
What type of creature is Zabahl? I want to ask him, what type of creature is Zabahl? I've never seen him before. A goat, half man.
You go ahead and make a nature check. You have no modifier, Killian. It's a straight up D20. You get a +1 for intelligence. So a D20 +1, I'll roll it for you.
Thank you.
All right, you got a nice solid 18. You can
very nice.
Stories growing up as a child and hearing about these creatures. They're typically called satyrs.
Yes.
It's basically a horned fae creature. And when I say fae, I mean fae. We're talking about the Feywild realm. This is where they originally call home and come from. But they're generally creatures not necessarily good, not necessarily bad, but that in general describes most fae.
Yeah. So, I want to ask Jorin. What a half elf is doing with the satyr. How you met? What's going on? Strange company you make.
So many questions. You answer so few of ours. We are friends. We are friends.
We are friends. I want to use my intimidation because I have high, and tell him and intimidate him to giving me a clearer answer.
All right, I want you to describe for me what exactly you're doing or saying. If it's charisma, you're going to get a +5 to this roll.
Yeah, I'm moving towards here, towards him, holding my axe. I'm not let's say aggressively, but I'm holding it. I'm using all my height of 7 feet, generally my stature, and I'm trying to slightly intimidate him in giving me a clearer answer.
So you're going to roll D20 +5. You get a 17. He kind of takes a step back. You are an intimidating fellow, and even Devin notices your menace as you do this. And he kind of takes a step back and almost looks like his hand disappears behind him to reach for a weapon, but he doesn't pull anything. He looks very threatened. And then he says, look, we don't want any trouble with you, and I'm sure you don't want trouble with us. We're only here befriending you. I'm curious why you would be heading to the Moon Hills, because the Moon Hills harbor nothing but bandits and ill fate to those who travel so close.
At that point, Lord Horn will walk up and say, we're going on business of course to rid this world of evil and to bring justice to those who are unjust. That is our mission. That is what we seek to do. Nothing more, nothing less.
Zabahl then looks in your direction and says, and then whispers towards Jorin. You can hear him. He says, "But that was well said of the manling. Or is he?" And he starts to squint and look closely at your face. Are you an elf? Are you Fae?
My mother was elf. My father was not.
Ah, and an elf marked.
I just nod in his direction.
Jorin kind of backs away from you, Killian. He says, well, if this is the way it is, then so be it. You can be on your way, and we'll be on ours. But mind you, be cautious heading into the hills. There are few trails, and none of the trails are easy to find. Good luck on your journey. And with that, he steps back towards his bow. Come. He signals to the satyr. And the satyr kind of looks sad looking at you guys. Starts to turn and walk away at a little pounce and pounce and pounce and pounce. And together they begin to move off into the trees. You want to do anything?
I'm going to ask Lord Thorin what he thinks. Should we let them go? Are they strange, these two individuals?
Strange. Yes. Threat. Maybe. Let them be on their way.
Okay.
And they move off on their ways until you can no longer see them. And at this point, there's still plenty of daylight. You still have maybe another 30 minutes before you reach the foot of the Moon Hills. Do you continue?
We're in the woods.
You're just coming out of it. It's just a little copse of trees. It's not a big woods.
Okay.
I would say, gentlemen, let's make our way towards the hills.
All right. You get to the foot of the hills. It only takes about 20 minutes, and boom, you're there. You can see the ground rises all around you. It looks like you're at the most northeastern tip of the hills. So you can see you're at the basically the top closest to Bridle. You're right at the foot of these hills. The ground is definitely different here. You saw these hills from a distance. They're not hard to see, but the ground is definitely upper and downer, and there's trees everywhere, boulders, rocks strewn about. It's not exactly the most easy terrain to move through, and it doesn't look like there's any paths or trails that are easy to find.
Can I look for any trails?
As your steps get more and more cumbersome as you travel through this more hilly terrain, it's rugged, very rugged within these hills. You can't help but feel a certain gloominess, dread. In fact, it almost overtakes you. Quite a contrast from your previous encounter in the woods with the satyr. You get that, and you also get a certain feeling that each step you take is being heard, and you are being watched. You feel this unease of being watched as soon as you set foot within these hills, in fact. Would you like to do anything?
I want to look around and see if I see anybody.
Okay, you don't see anything. You don't see any shadows or anything. Killian, you can also do so if you want. It's a D20 roll.
Yeah,
but
sure.
you have a -1. You scored a 16. You don't sense anything unusual either, just an unease. You don't see anything. And Devin agrees. My friends, I feel like we're being watched, yet I see nothing. I say we keep going. Surely there's a trail.
Yeah, I want to look for a trail. That's my goal right now, is try and find some sort of path.
The ground here in the hills varies from rocky, brush, and scrub to more wooded and open. The shadows seem alive, and the feeling of eyes upon you, it does not subside. Uneven ground is everywhere. You do come across a few small, narrow game trails, but these seem to lead in circles or lead outside of the hills. Not what you're looking for. Under these conditions, it could take hours to find the right trail leading to this so-called vault, if you're not ambushed first. I want everybody that's doing so, looking for a trail, some kind of path, to make a survival check. Now that's your wisdom check. Now for you, Killian, you don't have proficiency in survival. So therefore, you're making a straight up wisdom check, which is -1. So D20 -1 equals 18, 17. You scored a 17 on your survival check. Lord Torn, if you want to make a survival check as well, do so.
I am also proficient with survival, so I have a total of 21.
All right, Devin has absolutely no luck. In fact, he disappears for about 15 seconds and then comes out the opposite side of the woods. Nope, there's nothing there. Lord Torrin, however, you do actually find something. And after about maybe 40 minutes of entering the hills, you do actually find a very well-hidden path that might be about 3 foot wide, and it seems to go further deep into the hills itself. But this is the only path like this you found, and it was very well hidden. And do you follow? What do you want to do?
Yeah, we'll go down it.
Yep.
All right, you travel. It's a meandering path. In other words, it zigzags around obstacles and stuff. It's not a straight line path. And you travel for about 50 minutes, and it starts to open up a little bit more. There's fewer trees. There's definitely boulders and stuff around. But eventually, after about a total of maybe an hour, approximately, you come across what might be your objective. This is what you come across. It's very overgrown, but it's so obvious that this has to be the vault. That said, there's rumors to be lots of caves up here anyway.
Oh, this looks like a place, I think.
Let's take a look around inside the actual cave itself.
I think we should check if there is any inscriptions on the entrance, in the entrance of the cave. Anything, any signs, anything, any type of insignia or something.
I agree.
All right, who's coming up to investigate? Are you all, or somebody staying back? Devin,
I'll help Killian look if Devin will keep watch of the entrance.
No problem. Devin will watch your backs. Will you two go up?
Yes.
Okay. Finally, ahead, you see what looks to be the vault. Could it be? Perhaps. Long overgrown, it could easily be missed to those not looking for such. As you draw near, you can see that there is a recessed stone door within this entryway, hidden by shadows. As you approach this portal, you see what looks like a silver cup fitted to the center of the stone slab of a door. It has a small inscription carved above it. Suddenly there's a caw from behind you, and your eyes draw upon a raven watching both of you. From a nearby perch, its eyes reflect the dull gray stone surrounding the door and the unease that has followed you all the way up to this vault, that of being watched.
I will approach the raven. And is there anything unusual about it?
Okay, you turn your back on the door, walk maybe 5 feet, and start looking up at the raven that's sitting well above you. He's about 15 feet up, maybe 12, 15 feet up, and he's just sitting there. He's kind of tilting his head, looking down at you. He looks pretty much and acts pretty much just like you'd expect a raven. It's just odd that he's here, and this whole time you've been feeling like you're being watched, but nothing unusual. What about you, Killian? How are you reacting to this?
I just throw a stone to make it leave the area.
All right, Killian, you turn your back on the door. You pick up a stone, a loose stone. It's easy to find. You wing it. No need to make a test for this. And it immediately flies off. And disappears into the distance.
Yeah, better.
Maybe that wasn't the best idea.
Less prying eyes, maybe.
Devin says, "So, what did you see at the door?"
Oh, there's a raven. And there's some inscriptions on here. Do I recognize what the inscriptions are? What language it is?
What is your perception modifier? I got it. It's +1. You don't recognize anything special about it, but you do read it, and it's written in common. And it says, "Give to receive."
I pull out my water skin, and I put a little bit of water in the cup.
All right, you pour some water into the cup. Doop, 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 just enough where it fills by maybe quarter up, as much as you want to put in.
Just a quarter.
All right, nothing unusual seems to happen. Killian, what are you doing?
I throw a silver coin in it, maybe something.
Ting! Falls in, splashes around in the water. Nothing seems to happen.
Give to receive.
Devin is sitting back there impatiently. Will you hurry up? What's going on?
All right, I'm going to try and scoop out all the water, and I'm going to cut my hand and let some blood drip in there.
Okay, so this is like you're going to injure yourself?
Yeah, I'll do 1 hit point of damage and kind of just hold my hand over the cup and let my blood fall into it.
Okay. You do that, make a little cut, brave man that you are, and the blood starts to drip into the cup and fill it. Killian, you see the blood filling the cup. Devin's guarding the rear. And 1 hit point, that's it.
Yeah.
1 hit point of damage, nothing happens.